Hi guys, I bought another IP camera. This is the Wansview 1080p Pro IP camera W2, currently retailing at just under £60 on Amazon, which is less than half the price of the Phylink camera I reviewed in my other channel review. As usual, let's have a look inside the box it comes in and see what we've got. I've already taken the camera out and had it in commission for a couple of months. Instruction guide or quick setup guide, a CD of software, and a colour instruction book, which is quite well laid out, some raw plugs and screws, and the only other thing I've got in here is the Allen key that you need to assemble the camera bracket. We'll have a quick look at the software and setup. Personally, I didn't have a great deal of success with the supplied detection software, which didn't seem to be able to pick up the camera on the network. The mobile phone app worked very well, and I was able to use that. But ultimately, if you run into this problem where you can't find your camera on the network using the software, then maybe you'll have to do what I did, which is basically went and found the here we go into my router, have a look and see what IP address the router has given the camera on the system, and just log into it directly using IP address. There it is, .1.88. Okay, so put the IP address in, navigate to it, log in using the admin password. Okay, and here we go. The software, a lot like other cameras and things that you've seen, what I like about it is it's actually quite zippy, so it moves between options and menus quite quickly. The browsers can be quite fussy about the plugins, which is why it's not displaying any video currently, but here on setup you can see managed to get a video signal through fairly early on, which is great. You can then set up the wireless and everything else whilst it's connected up, and then you can go and deploy the camera, and as you've already seen, mine's sat on a fence outside of my garden. Okay, the detailed setup menus are, again, I'm not going to take you through all of the different setup menus, but you can see that the menu system is pretty easy to navigate, fairly straightforward to set up. You can set it up with all the usual DHPC and resolution and other settings. And this camera is also ONVIF compatible, so we work with security software and other things that use that particular format of communication. Okay, let's go and have a look at, not everybody will be using this obviously, but some of you may be. I use the Synology surveillance software. Both of our cameras are used for wildlife monitoring, so we're not using it for security as it happens, although we could. The use is exactly, it makes no difference to the functionality of the camera. Here I'm putting in the relevant details for the camera, and you'll see that we're using ONVIF generic camera mode. Okay, and personally I find the software kind of very useful for managing cameras, recording the camera feeds remotely, and therefore there's no need to use the installed SD card slot which this camera has. So this is all transmitted wirelessly over our network, stored on our NAS, which is a Synology NAS. Okay, so now we've got that set up. Maybe it's time to have a little look at some image quality shots. Okay, so on the left you see my Wansview camera, and on the right you see Phylink camera. It's a little bit difficult because they're slightly different sizes. I apologize for that, but it gives you an overall impression. Personally, I don't think there's any difference at all in terms of image quality, day or night. Actually, I'll give you a night shot shortly. They're both pretty good. Obviously 1080p. You're not going to get sort of digital SLR clarity and quality, but overall I don't see any significant difference between these two cameras, which, take into account the difference in cost, I think is pretty good. The Wansview, as far as I understand it, has no sound, so you don't get sound with that one, and you do with the Phylink. And there is one other distinction that I will talk about at the end about what it comes with. Okay, here you can see some stock footage that I'm looking through in my database on the Synology NAS. Let's have a look at a night shot. Okay, this was recorded last night in our back garden by our Wansview camera, Mr. Fox, walking across our garden. With all of these cameras, I generally find the night vision, you do get obviously a little bit of a compromise in terms of overall image quality, but I certainly think that's entirely acceptable. If you're using it as a security camera, you'll definitely be able to recognize people. Okay. here's the camera in position. And if you remember, the Phylink camera came with a junction box to enable you to put a cable extension for the power lead. The Wansview camera doesn't come with that. So I've had to make this little box with some sealant. It's actually a lot smaller than it looks in the picture because it's obviously a very close shot. But that's one of the downsides. So for less than half the price, what you don't get is the junction box to connect up the extension cables if you want to extend the location outside the radius of the power lead that it comes with. But other than that, in terms of construction and everything else, it's a metal case. It looks very solid. It's been in my garden for months, functioning very well. I've got no reason to complain at all about either the image quality, the performance, the software, or its hardiness in position. So let's quickly summarize some pluses and minuses and talk about whether this is a good buy. Okay, so camera, £60. So I think the Phylink is currently retailing at £155. So, you know, less than half the price of an equivalent alternative. A good camera, the image quality is fine. It's weatherproof, the night vision works well. It is compatible with a lot of different protocols. It's relatively easy to set up as these cameras go. Negatives, short power lead, doesn't come with a weatherproof junction box. You'll have to make something like I did. It's got no sound. Otherwise, I think an excellent buy and very good value. Good job, Wansview.